Welcome to a sneak peek in my studio. It's Jean. I wanted to share some information with the group. Billy had created a really nice Frankenstein palette piece. I thought it was really cool, and I commented on aging it. And one of the things that you can do to make your project look more finished and give it a more professional appearance is by aging the project itself. So I was going to show you, I have lots of examples here, and I was going to show you what can be done to a regular project to make it really nice looking. I've probably talked about this before, but not like this. So let's get started. Now, I use a lot of reclaimed lumber, scrap lumber from construction sites. This particular sample is pressure treated lumber. I don't like working with it, but when that's what you have, you work with what you got. So here's the untreated project ready to paint, okay? Just a regular piece of wood. Now, this is painted, okay? Now, it's just a painted piece of wood. There's nothing special about it. There is a little bit of routing on the edges. The hole's drilled because I do tiki bar signs, so that's what this is ready for. But this is just paint. Now you don't want to just let your project end like this. You know, do the lettering. You don't want to just do the lettering and leave it like that. You want to give it a little bit of character. Now this is just my opinion, guys. Okay, this is how I do it. So if you want to leave it clean looking, that's fine. But this is how I do things. All right. So you've got your plain painted wood. Now the next step, what I do is I have two sanders that I use, but they're power sanders, which makes it a lot quicker and easier on your wrist. Okay, so you've got your painted project. The next step you're going to do is you're going to hit it with the sander. Now this particular one, I went ahead and did some digging into it, and I used a grinder for this, which if you really want to make quick work of it and age it really fast, use a grinder, okay? But what I'm showing you here is how I've removed the paint from the edges and the corners. There's even some gouging here. You can see it. Hopefully you can see it in the camera. And I did all the edges. And you want to focus on the corners too. Take the sharp corners off. You know what I mean? See, here's a sharp corner that's left. This is my example. But see how this corner's rounded? See how it's got the gouging in it? And I sanded both the front and the back edges and removed paint. This specifically is to soften corners and remove paint. Okay, this technique. All right. And you also want to take off some of the flat paint too, especially near the ends. Okay, so here you have your painted piece of wood, and I've removed the paint on the edges and the corners. Okay. Now, you can use any kind of stain to get an antique finish, or let me dig under here. I made up a mixture of that steel wool stain, and this is kind of unpredictable because you really don't know what color it's going to turn out. Some wood, it doesn't make any difference at all, just makes it just a teeny bit darker. Like this is an example of, it's like a golden color. Okay, this is kind of unpredictable, but it's kind of fun. It's kind of a really nasty soup. It's actually, there's steel wool in there, but it's vinegar and water mixture. You can find the instructions online super easy. It's like half apple cider vinegar and half water, and then you drop steel wool, a wad of steel wool in it, and you let it sit for a day or two, and then you can just start brushing it on. So this is like a homemade stain vinegar solution. Now, once you've got your wood exposed, here's the exposed wood. You're going to want to go over it with the stain. This is what it looks like with the stain on it, okay? See how it's darker, makes the wood look older. Now you can use store-bought stain if you want. The vinegar solution works well, but you see how it made it darker? That's what you want to do. You want to go ahead and add some kind of stain. Now, a note here, this paint that I'm using is at least a satin finish. If you want to finish a flat finish paint like this using the stain, put a coat of the clear coat varnish. This is the varnish I use, is the polyacrylic. Okay. just to give it a little bit of gloss. Because if you don't, if you just do stain on flat paint, it's going to make it really, it's going to change the paint a lot. So you don't want to use flat paint with this stain technique. I mean, you might try it, you know, I say experiment. And if you develop your own look, then that's what you can use on all of your pieces, okay? So anyway, so this is a satin paint. I sanded off the paint. I added the stain. The next step is doing the fly speck technique. Can you see the little teeny dots that are here? I use my paintbrush here, or paintbrush, excuse my reach. I use an old toothbrush. Now, you want to practice with this, okay? But you can really get a true fly speck technique going. Dab it in your paint, and I would do black and white, or brown, like a chocolate brown if you have a chocolate brown. Like I said, come up with your own look. You know what I mean? Experiment with these steps. But you dab it and then you fly speck it. Does you guys know what the fly specking is? Okay, well in the comments we'll discuss why you do fly specking. It's kind of interesting. But anyway, so you want to do your little spatter of the black, and then I do the black and white. It just adds more texture to it. It looks really cool. Okay. So this is the technique that I was talking about when Billy asked about, or when I brought up the aging, okay? This just makes your pieces look more rugged, more authentic. It gives them a more professional finish. And it looks like something that's not DIY. And I don't mean to say that, you know, I don't mean that in a criticizing way, but you want to bring out the artistry that you have. If you're in this business to, you know, make a living, you want to make a living, which means learn as much as you can about the finishing techniques. This is just one of the things that I do, okay? This is how I finish my pieces. Now, there is another technique that you can use. And this was one of the samples that I showed you earlier. You see, I took the grinder and I gave it this kind of a scalloped finish. Now, if it's regular like this, it kind of, to me, looks like tropical. I do tiki bar signs and tiki bar type artwork, okay? So it's kind of neat when you can get that regular, but it doesn't have to be regular. See here, it's a little bit different. Now, this wood was stained with the apple cider and water vinegar mixture with the steel wool in it. So it's got that golden color to it. Sometimes it turns it really dark brown, you never know. And then I used a dry brush technique with my paintbrush. And this is my favorite tool of all time. It's my fan brush. I use it for everything, varnishing and everything. But what you want to do is you want to work off enough paint, the white paint, and you just brush it over all the highlighted areas. See how it highlights this? And then I dragged it this way just to add some highlight on the grain. Now, I'm going to show you what this looks like with one of my pieces, okay? This is the base. You can do lettering. You can do whatever you want. This particular piece, this is what I did. You see what a difference that makes? Having it on this aged finished wood, that's why you do it, okay? That's why you do the aging, and you take the time to give it that special look. This is my mermaid. I haven't even released her yet. It's the same white mermaid that I've been painting, but on this type of wood, it's a little bit different. Now, another technique which kind of combines the two is brushing color, and then I've got the stain, and then I've got the white dry brush. See how nice? So this one finished looks like this. This is another one this is a new mermaid too. This is my swimming mermaid. But you see how pretty that is? It's not just a painted mermaid on a piece of wood. It's a painted mermaid on a washed blue background with the aged sides. Okay, that's where the difference comes in. Here she is in green. And this is the same mermaid using the same technique as this one. So, I hope this has gotten some ideas going in your mind. It's very important that you develop your own style of a finishing technique. Play around with it. If you've got scrap lumber at home, try some different techniques. Go on YouTube. Learn more about how to get that extra finish, like using different kinds of colors. That was the other thing I wanted to bring up too. And I don't think I have any samples of it. But if you have something that's like a solid color, like Billy had his Frankenstein guy, okay? What's really, really nice to do too is use 2 shades of the blue. Like if you've got a lighter shade, brush on a little bit of a lighter blue. You know what I mean? Just to change it up a little bit. So the more colors, the more layers, the more details that you can bring out and add to your pieces, the more special they're going to be and the more professional they're going to look. Okay? So have fun with it. Get some scraps out. Mix up some of this. It's kind of cool. It's unpredictable, but it's kind of cool. And have fun with it. And if you have any questions or anything, just leave them in the comments below. Talk to you later.